to It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach, and I'm Sister A. LaGreen. And this month is May is Mental Health Month. But learning about mental health and getting involved in mental health services is something we should be doing all the time. Learning about mental health is so important because just about every one of us, at some point in our lives, will run into someone who will need some mental health support. It could be a loved one, it could be somebody on your job, it could be a friend, or even yourself. We all go through different issues in lives, emotional issues, and we all will need help at some point in our lives. Learning about mental health, learning about what mental health is, learning how to get involved, learning where to refer people to or where to go for yourself is really important. When looking at some of the statistics, we look at mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. So mental health is important. Good mental health is important. Untreated mental illnesses, untreated mental health impacts our lives in so many negative ways. Untreated mental health can lead to depression, it can lead to suicide, it can lead to loss of work, it can lead to loss of friends, family, friends. It can spill over into church by causing problems with the congregation. Untreated mental illnesses unfortunately kills lives, It kills potential, it kills our destiny, and even can kill us in the form of suicide. Early warning signs. Not sure if you or someone you know is living with a mental health problem or in need of mental health services? Just listen to a few of these. Eating or sleeping too much or too little. Pulling away from people and usual activities. Having low or no energy. Feeling numb or like nothing matters. Again, these are just a few early warning signs. Just having these signs doesn't mean that there's anything wrong, but it just means that it's something we need to pay attention to. Feeling unexplained aches and pains. And that's because when we're under stress, a lot of us carry our stress, our feelings in our body. So without even realizing it, we're tensing up. Feeling helpless or hopeless. Smoking, drinking, or using drugs more than usual. Feeling unusually confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried, or scared. Yelling or fighting with family and friends more than usual. Experiencing severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships, having persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head, hearing voices or believing things that are not true, thinking of harming yourself or others, or just an inability to perform daily life tasks like taking care of your kids or getting to work or school. These are just some early warning signs. These are some things that if you notice in yourself or if you notice in a loved one, you want to kind of help them or help yourself. You know, you may say, well, I don't know what to say to someone. You don't really have to have any big words. It's just a matter of going up to the person and say, hey, I'm noticing that you seem sad. I'm noticing that you feel depressed. You look depressed. Or I'm noticing, or whatever it is that you're noticing. Hey, I'm noticing that you're not talking like you used to. Is there anything I can do? How can I help? And that's it. So start a conversation today. Don't let someone you know suffer in silence, or even yourself. Yes, prayer is important, but prayer, we thank God for prayer. We thank God for our spiritual faith. But having those things doesn't mean that we can't get help if we need it. So again, mental health matters. Mental health is important. Good mental health is important.
It's Getting Better All the Time Mental Health Outreach. This is Mental Health Month, and sharing some experiences that I've had in dealing with someone with a mental health issue brought on by trauma in their life. One individual in particular was thinking of suicide, and was able to get them the help, and right now they have gone on and are working with a organization to help other battered women. So I'm thankful that I was there to be able to help them through this. There's another young lady that was dealing with a mental issue through most of her life that I knew her. And before she passed, one of the things she said was thank you for being a friend to her. Thank you for not being afraid of it. And she thanked us for just being a support to her because her own family was not there. So I say that when you've come across someone in your life, you know, consider that it could be you, it could be your own loved one, it could be someone very dear to you, but the attitude has to be, if it were me, how would I want people to respond to me? So I'm thankful that I was able to be a help to that individual. It can be devastating. We wanted to know how mental health can impact and how it can change a life. Excuse me, there's one person that I knew that was in college and doing great, and because of something that happened in her life, it
triggered.
Yes, and it threw her into another degree, and it was as if she wasn't able to recover. She began to react with her family negatively, and having to have the police coming in and out of the home until finally they were able to get her some help. Thankfully, she is now in a group. She goes to daycare and is online going back to school to get her degree. So I'm saying all this to say, yes, there is recovery. But in the recovery process, you have to be patient with the individual. You have to be long-suffering with them. You have to be forgiving with them. You have to definitely be enduring, because they may not respond in the beginning, but as time go on and they realize that you really do care and you're there for them, somewhere along the way they may come along. It may be 6 months, it may be years, but you have to consider, are you willing to endure that long with the individual? One person, unfortunately, would not receive it. Yes, they had several relapses, but not being able to, because they were always in denial that nothing was wrong with them, they weren't able to get the help that they need. So I say again, it takes a lot of patience in dealing with an individual with the mental health. But yes, there is a recovery process. Maybe long, maybe short, but you can recover.
It's Getting Better All the Time mental health outreach program, and this is a May Mental Health Month, and so we see a lot of things regarding that and hear a lot of things in our televisions, and even our president has been talking about Mental Health Month, and it is an important issue, and there are a lot of people who don't seek mental health because of the stigma that's with it. And especially, maybe I shouldn't say it that way, Christians who feel that seeking mental health or mental health is something that's not of Christendom, you know, and you can be healed from that because it's not of God. That's not always true. Mental health is just like diabetes or high blood pressure or high cholesterol. You know, you be treated for those and have medication for that. And so it's not, should not be ashamed to take medication and to seek help. There has been numerous people, I can't recount how many people I've encountered who need somebody to be there with them or hold their hand or talk them off the ledge, so to speak.
Add to what has been said, it's getting better all the time. Mental illness is often devastating to the families of people that is going through this mental illness, but we do know one thing, and it has been proven, that the earlier it is diagnosed and treated, the better the outcome.
Doing a lot of research and learning things about the brain, because the brain is a very complex organ. But at the same token, I'm thankful for where we have come to in even the last 20 years in being able to help people to recover, you know, that they're better diagnosing things and they're not just blanketing it as just one thing, you know, and that it is coming out to the degree that instead of us stereotyping and wanting to put them away, now we're willing to help and reach out and give them help for it. At the same token, as you said before, unfortunately, in Christendom, we have not come to the degree that we need to in being even able to help someone. So for those of us that have experienced and are working with it, then we have a responsibility to reach out to those that we know of in our congregations that may be going through something, so that we can better help them and to help our leaders to better understand. And I'm totally adamant about the fact that as soon as they see someone with a mental illness, first thing they want to say all the time that it's demonic.
Demonic.
You know,
That's the
and
word I was
that,
looking for.
right. And, excuse me, not necessarily, in some cases, yes, we read about it in the Bible, okay, but we can't just classify all of them and put them in a box that this is it. You know, we got to be willing, if that be the case, that if we look at that as just being demonic, then I should be looking at that because diabetes is a sickness. High blood pressure is a sickness.
Some people do look at that and they say you can be healed of that. Some people, some Christians that I have talked to.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, so but I'm
but we
thankful
treat those,
for,
and they're treated.
Right, they're more, but we're more compassionate for someone that is a diabetic, that's high blood pressure, that have gone through cancer, and I can say that because I've been there, okay? We seem to be more compassionate, but I think it's a fear where the brain is concerned, because the first thing is, I don't know how to deal with this, I don't know what to expect.
The brain is the battleground.
Yes, and it's not just a battleground for mental illnesses, it's a battleground in itself.
Well, spiritually, it's a battleground.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. That's where a lot of our own stuff we have issues with. It starts in the mind, you know, and we're realizing that, you know, the mind and the brain are two different, okay? The brain is what's functioning the whole body, okay? And we realize that the mind is where our thoughts and things, our creative ability starts with, okay? So being able to differentiate between the two in working with someone is important as well.
And our destruction, too. People's destruction starts there.
So, you know, some of the paranoia, anxiousness, or whatever, starts with those thoughts.
And don't forget post-traumatic syndrome disorder.
It starts
that
with,
goes on. And the old manic depressive, which is now bipolar, you know, and it's a chemical. It's chemical. It's not, like you said, demonic.
Right. It's a chemical imbalance. So, you know, but unless we're willing to, because we look at the person that's going through with the mental illness and we get concerned about them being in a state of denial. But how much denial are we in?
Well, as you said, the families go through it. And some families look at it as their fault, also, even though they don't say it. So they want you to get better right now, you know, so that the world don't see you and you put it on them. They want you immediately well.
Yeah, and we have to realize too. I'm sorry, I'll let you say it in a minute. One of the questions was asked, how does it impact the family? It changes your whole life, you know, because loved ones now, all of a sudden, even though they were associating with you before, now they don't want anything to do with you because they don't want to have to deal with the individual that's going through this. They're not always a support to you when you're going through with these type of things in the family. Excuse me, and they, when it's with a child, you know, the first thing is, one key thing they say is, well, are you going to put them away? Are you going to put them in a home? You know, this type of thing is the attitude that's taken. So that's why I said it's important that we be patient, be enduring, and be supportive, you know. And it doesn't, because it's not just affecting the individual. It's a family thing when it happens. And family are more quick to run away from you when things like this are going on. You know, it's changes your whole life because you don't know from day to day what to expect. You know?
And I think the families sometimes run away because they don't know how to deal with it. And remember one thing, that mental illness is, even though we've come a long way in knowing how to treat it, we still have a long ways to go because remember years ago they used to lock the patient away. And if he wasn't crazy, when they locked him away, he'd get crazy being locked up, you know. And but they don't treat it that way anymore. They go with more so looking toward drugs and kind of self-help. It depends on the severity of the illness. And
a parent with a mental illness in the home can be devastating for the child because now the child has to be the parent and need a parent. Okay, so it's a double whammy there. She has to grow up faster than with that, being male or female, have to grow up faster than what they need to. So their childhood has been interrupted. Okay, And some of them end up being resentful as they grow up. Having this, if it's a parent with a mental illness and they're not on their meds, and all of a sudden they go through these stages where they want to cuss them out and do all these other things. They have to deal with the embarrassment, praying that they're hoping and praying that none of their classmates find out that this is what they deal with. They can't bring their friends home. Because they don't want to have to deal with the trauma of the ridicule that they're going to have to go through with that. Not sure if the parent is ever going to be able to sign their report card. They definitely don't want them to come to the PTAs and anything like that because they don't know what to expect. If they come, are they going to be nice today, or are they going to go off and then everybody's going to know what's going on? So it's very devastating, more so than I know as adults, we may deal with stuff, but because we've gone through life, it's not as impactful. It should not be. Let me rephrase that. On us as adults, as it would this child who's just learning about life.
To be adult.
It's a trauma. And having to learn how to cook, how to do all these things. It can be very lonely for them, and cause them to have an unproductive life if they're not able to grasp at some point, don't have the support that they need in doing through all of this. So then we're talking about another issue that's going to come up with them as they become adults.
Yeah.
Responsibility with us that are adults, that if we see a child that is acting irrational or whatever, I'm not saying don't just go up to the child, but that's where, for those of us that know the Lord, our prayer life come in to find out how we can reach out to this child so that the child won't be lost.